Hi everyone, how you going? So, the cashless debit card's supposed to be so good for our kids, isn't it? You know, it'll make sure they get fed. It'll keep a roof over their heads. It'll keep a family together. Really? I am furious. Keith Pitt, all you've done is put misery, heartache, homelessness and pulling families apart in the Hinkler region. Yesterday, the Fraser Chronicle and the Newsmail ran articles, right, like a poll asking, has the card been good for our community? Well, I posted that to our INDUE Cashless Debit Card Hinkler region page. And somebody came onto the page and answered on our page. And I'll read it. So she left a comment. I have trouble paying rent. My landlord became frustrated with the rent being late, etc. due to the cashless debit card. And my son and I were evicted. We've heard this before. We still have people stuck in Victoria and all over the country that have been through this before. So I asked her, have you been able to get housing now? Considering the housing crisis, the stigma with the cashless debit card, if you're on the card, it's impossible to re-rent in the region. She came back to me a couple of hours ago. Still not been able to find a house since. So I've resorted to a room for $80 a week. I can't pay my rent with cash and was going to be evicted from here too. I'm holding on by a thread and I'm behind in rent due to the cashless card. I've now had to resort to giving my landlord my cashless card to buy food, shopping to the worth of my rent. But it gets worse. So I said, please contact Senator Anthony Chisholm, get them to help you with an APTAP application. I asked for consent to share her story here. And I asked, is your son still with you? This is the first time I report a child has been removed from the parent's care due to being made homeless on the cashless debit card. I'm sorry. We've helped so many families keep their families together. Keith Pitt, you have so much to bloody answer for. She's just answered me. No, my son is now not in my care. I had a lot of stress going on around the rent issues due to the cashless card, which impacted on my situation when my son was taken from my care. This is supposed to be about children. And it's about ripping families apart, destroying their credit ratings, destroying their rental histories, and leaving people homeless. This is disgusting. This is the first time I report to you in 3 years that I've been reporting on all of the stuff that's been happening here. And a lot of single parents with small babies have been left homeless, but they've not had their kids removed. This is the first time I've run across a parent that's lost their child because of this. Cashless debit card trial. Trials don't destroy your life. Trials are not supposed to put you in a position where you lose your children, make you homeless. I don't know what to say to this lady. She's the first lady I've come across that it's actually happened to. And there could be so many more out there that we don't know about because we only hear from a fraction of card holders. Remember, a lot of them have been threatened to be quiet, threatened with legal action. And threatened with sanctions on their payments if they jump up and down too much. Well, no, we're not being quiet when you rip a mother and child apart because you make them homeless. I am so, so angry. Keith Pitt has to go. You know, how many have unalived themselves? Keith Pitt doesn't care. How many have lost their kids? I don't know. They're not going to tell us. And to leave this person in a situation now that she's having to hand over her cashless debit card so that the person she's renting the room from can get groceries because she can't access cash to pay her rent still. Haven't they taken enough from her? They took her housing from her, they've taken her son from her, and now they're trying to take her housing again. So, Lynn Ferguson says, is it possible to ask Centrelink to take the rent from the money? No, because third-party shared rental accommodations do not, 99.9% of the time, do centre pay. People who are renting room to other people don't do centre pay. And it's also, a lot of the time, they're not on a lease. You know, private rentals, majority of them don't accept centre pay. They already cost her a house that she had a lease on because they were late paying the rent. And a rental expired because of it. And this has happened to so many. It's happened to so many. But this is the first time ever I've had to report that a child was taken from a parent's care because of all the stress the mother was put through and because of the homelessness situation. And she's still in debt, thanks to INDUE, Services Australia, Keith Pitt, Pauline Hanson, Malcolm Roberts, Centre Alliance. And how long will it take for her to get her son back? That's if she could get stable housing. I don't know this person's backstory. I'm only going by what the comments she's left on the page. And I don't know what to say. We've never lost one's kids before. This is a disgrace. Keith Pitt, you should hang your head in shame and you don't deserve your seat. Like Daniel says, if it's happened to one family, it's probably happened to many. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's probably happened to thousands of people over the last 16 years of compulsory basics card and in the last 6.5 years of cashless debit card. We have no idea how many families have been torn apart because of this or what they've lost. We scratch the surface with the few people that come forward and tell us what's going on. But out of, nearly 40,000 people in this country that are on some form of forced income management, we don't hear hardly any of it. I don't know what to say. Share this. No family deserves to be torn apart. To put a parent in a situation where they lose housing, then take their child away from them, right, is cruel. It's the ultimate cruelty, the abuse. And this week, Fraser Coast Chronicle and Newsmail have had a field day. They've put the same article up twice with two different headlines. One was headlining it about everybody's basically on drugs, and the next one was take any old job. So it was welfare bashing at every angle about people are lazy, right, or people are drug addicts. It's one or the other. Then they popped up with this poll, right, and Fraser says Seduna has a serious issue in the DCP in poverty, discrimination and the cards control. Yep. Doesn't surprise me at all. So, you know, the past 24 hours, the Fraser Coast Chronicle and the Newsmail have had a field day stirring up the public and trying to stir up as much hate towards people on the cashless debit card and people on Social Security. And it hasn't worked. Because they did this poll, and I can tell you now, they got 25 people who liked the poll on the Fraser Coast Chronicle. In fact, I'll just go to SN7 Resources because she actually tracked the poll. And the results were, for both Fraser Coast Chronicle and Newsmail, 386 people voted no, the card has not made the community better or has not worked. And 25 people said yes. And to the people supporting the card, you support domestic violence, you support financial abuse, you are abusers in my mind. All right? You support tearing families apart, you support making people homeless. And what for? For profits? You know? We know the card doesn't work. Right? And it's just, it'll never work. The LNP need to be kicked out. And they can't be kept in by default. We can't risk more of this. Pitt's got to go. The whole LNP's got to go. Pauline Anson, Malcolm Roberts, Centre Alliance. They've got to go. They've got to go. I've got to go. Sorry. I've never had to report like this before ever. You know, we've always had this fear with people that we've been working with to keep them in their houses and get help for them to pay their rents and stuff like that. We've never had a case where the child's been taken. Keith Pitt's got a lot to answer for. All right, guys. See ya.